Good Midwest morning, everyone. This is Nicole, your mobile blog is for toctown.com, and I have a part two for those of you interested in conquering the blank page. Today is Chief Artisan Thursday, or better known as Ask the Pros. So I thought I would record a podcast for you just in case you want a little bit more insight into how I divide my pages as well as, gather some of the information I need in order to fill it up and create more content for my subscribers as well as my patrons. The first thing I want to share with you is a lot of times we take pictures on a daily basis and never go back through them. Whether they're actual prints or, on our cell phones or even on a separate digital device or even a special camera that you ordered. Go through all of your pictures to see if there is a theme, an idea, a content that you're interested in that you would like to share with your subscribers. Now, mind you, make sure it's what they came on your site for. Don't make it about a totally separate idea or, a rabbit trail kind of instance, but make it interesting as if you're serving food on a table and this is an extra added piece to the course that you're already serving. So either it's the main dish or it's a dessert or maybe even a beverage that they may enjoy before or after their meal. Okay. So if you notice on toctown.com, I have 16 separate images which reflect a lot of the people, places, and the environmental things that I'm interested in. And I go through for me, it's painstaking effort to figure out which image I want to use, which ones do I want to change out. Do I want to keep another image for another month, quarter, or even the year? It usually doesn't happen like that. Usually at the end of the year, if it says the previous year, then I definitely change it out. Or what I do is if the season doesn't reflect the current season that our corporate community is in, then I change it out at that time as well. So pretty much I'm always, hey, let me see what's going on my homepage. Does it reflect what, is going on inside the corporate community? Or do I want to freshen up? The spring season will be here as of next month, and pretty much I want to change out nothing. I'm going to keep all of the images actually the same for 2019, but in 2020 I want to replace all of them with the new workshops, new courses, new content that I'm going to be providing. Okay, so let me go through 5 situations where you can go ahead and lay out your pages and try to publish more creative content for your people. Number 1 is go ahead and select at least 12 to 16 images. Select the images of the people, places, and time, whether it's random or a specific order, chronological order, but create a theme, create a scene, create the overall like draft image. It's not your final image, it's just your first draft of what you want to present. Then the second thing is go more in depth with your descriptions that your viewers may find interesting or noteworthy. You go to a specific restaurant, or you try a new meal with a friend of yours, and you taste something like really, different, whether it's good or bad, that's based on your palate, but pretty much at least you tried the meal. I remember in TLC Town when we had the travel agency, I took a couple of our agents with me, excuse me, and we had a wonderful meal. Now, mind you, I love Mediterranean dishes, and they had never had it, but they're pretty much, versed in different meals, but it was interesting to see, although Mediterranean meals are very popular here in Chicago, there are still some people who have never had it. And they enjoyed the simple selections that I made. I chose hummus and I forgot the main meal, but pretty much it was similar to what they've had already, but the flavors and the seasonings were different, so they enjoyed the meal. So, of course, I wrote an article about it, and recommended the restaurant to anybody else who wanted to, venture out onto the south side of Chicago and enjoy a meal while you're out here. Okay. So the third thing I want to share with is have a firm foundation. I've done links as well as share of the organizations that I'm connected with, and I will do the same after this podcast and share with you the basic teachings that established TLCtown.com for the last 10 years. Although I've been a part of the organization longer than that, but the last 10 years I really focused on studying those principles and applying them not only to my life but sharing them with others. So, in case they wanted to start a small business or even develop a corporate community, that they will have a firm foundation in order to establish it on. It's going to be 10 seasons as of 2020, so it speaks for itself. All right, number 4 is go ahead and edit. This is only the first draft. If it's the first year that you set up your community, your small business, allow yourself to go through changes based on what you've encountered. Some things that you may have been thinking about weren't actually true to, where you want it to be. You could have had more money to do different things or less money and chosen a lot better quality of your products or services. Allow yourself to think through, go on retreat, pray through what your next decision should be, and then go ahead and edit on a monthly, quarterly, or even a yearly basis. That way, when you select your first at least 12 images, you'll have 12 takeaways. Do one per month. Don't, rush it. Take your time. Don't rush into any decision that you won't be able to easily back out of. One decision can take away or add to whatever you're doing. It's like building a house, pretty much. It's not a deck of cards, it's not a sand castle, but it's something that you're trying to build out for, the rest of your life. Either it's going to change or it's going to, collapse. It's a possibility. All right. So, the last 4 things I want to share with you have to do with the images on TLC Town homepage, images 13, 14, 15, and 16. Those are the ones that I chose to go a little bit more in depth with. The 13th image, you'll see that I have a measuring tape on the shelf, and it goes along with the hashtag that I'm doing for 2019 as I turn the golden age of 50. I'm doing a So 50 Fitness, where I'm going through all of my wardrobe to see what fits, what doesn't fit, what's a part of my style still, or what I can, go ahead and let go of so I can usher in some new style, new clothing, new ideas for my blogosphere. And what I found interesting was, it's the image, the number 13. And of course, in our culture, it's not associated with anything good, but I beg to differ. I found something new and fresh perspective on a site called If I Could Teach the Bible. Hopefully, it's still up by the time you're listening to this podcast, but if it's not, let me share with you what I found. Actually, he or she sees the number as the start of a new beginning. And they go further to list out the 7 scriptures or the biblical references that point to why they figure the number 13 is not a superstitious number. They quote Genesis 17 verse 25, 1 Kings 7 and 1, Genesis 14 verse 4, Esther chapter 3 verse 12. He even goes into Jeremiah, Joseph, and the walk around the Jericho Wall was actually 13 times, which I thought it was 7, but that begs for further investigation. You see what I mean? So certain things you find, you do more research, you become the historian of your own life and find the interesting points that actually matter to you. So, number 14, and I want to wrap this up because I'm already almost over 10 minutes. Number 14 is a small business called Speckled Fawn, and I picked up the Micro TN so I can put a lot of information for my participating Patreon. And I plan on visiting places, people, and historical sites where I want to list out what I find in relation to environmental restoration. There's a whole new world that's developing as far as just restoring a lot of your workflow, your environment, not as a global, because that's kind of too big for me, but pretty much, if you're building out your studio or building out your office, you want things that you visualize to be pleasant. You don't want to come into, a place that you can't stand to be in, every single hour of the day, though you will face challenges, but pretty much overall, you need to love what you do, you know. So, but that's a different subject for another day and time. If you have any questions, go ahead and sign in the guest guide and leave them for me there. My best image is the one that I'm going to be stabilizing TLC Town 2020 with, which is a teaching from Pastor William D. Hinn, and it's about governmental order and kingdom operation. I won't go into detail about this. You'll just have to check back with the podcast to see an update, or go ahead and download it for yourself. I'll include a link on the page. It's more than likely going to be on Motivational Monday, because these are the people that motivate our corporate community and culture, and they come first. Okay, last but not least is image number 16, which is the Producer's Podcast, which you're listening to right now. I talk about in that photo is what's your planner DNA, whether it's paper planning or digital planning. Find out what makes your workload a lot more functional, not necessarily easier, but definitely digestible. Because once you take it in, you want it to come through your life and radiate who you are in Christ. Alrighty, that's all that I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or any comments, please sign into the guest guide and leave me a note, or just go ahead and send me an email to tlctown14@gmail.com. I respond from Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. In the meantime, you have a great day. Take care.